Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I see issue with that. And again, hey.
You're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency. That's not going to happen.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him.
Not good. Believe me, not good.
I am a dissident.
Hello, dissidents. Good morning, one and all. Welcome to a special 9 a.m. Eastern Morning Dew edition of the Dew Dissidents podcast. Keaton Weiss here once again with Russell Dobular.
Good morning, my friends.
Good morning, my lovelies, my sunshines. What does
my
Kit
lovelies.
say? My lovelies.
Hello, you awakening wonders.
Hello, you awakening wonders. We got a nice review from the UK. I want to put this up on the screen. The Lucky Saints Wedding and Function Band. Hello from the UK. Just wanted to say I love your show. Both of you are shining beacons in a swamp of shit. Keep it up, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to put that on, if we ever write a book, we'll put that in the publicity quotes. Shining beacons in a swamp of shit.
Okay. I liked, did we go to air with that version? There was an early version when we first did the theme song, when we had that old, like, LA surf rock kind of theme. Where we quoted all of our haters.
Oh, yeah.
In the titles. A couple of morons.
Yeah, I said a couple of morons. Yeah. It was good. Maybe we'll bring back the old school intro for one or two shows. We used to have another intro before our friend Nick in Volstead wrote us another track, which is what we use now. But thank you all very much for being here. 517 strong in the YouTube chat. We got 375 filing in on Rumble. Hit that like button. Let's juice the algorithm here in the morning. Got to wake people up and get them in here so that we can all have a fun show together. We thank you very much for being here. Jake is not here today, but I'm doing my best to field Rumble rants. You just got one come in from Nocturnal Human. I saw you there, so I am just copying and pasting over here and putting you in the queue. It has been pouring rain for the last few days here. Really bad stuff. And that might have to do with the internet being a little bit wonky today. I hope it's not too bad. It says it's wonky on my StreamYard end, but I seem to be coming through all right. Am I coming through all right?
Yeah, you're coming through fine.
Beautiful. Maybe it's just lying. Maybe it's bullshit. Maybe that's the CIA telling us.
It could be. This is a breaking story. We don't have time to cover it. But the Yahoo News claims that the FBI is tracking an Iranian assassin who's been sent to kill people from Trump's inner circle, like Mike Pompeo is one of them. And some people are saying that they're laying the groundwork for our own services to take out Trump, and then they can claim the Iranians did. Some people are saying. Some are saying.
What does that have to do with the internet being wonky? There was some kind of cyber attack a couple days ago, or some kind of mass fuckery. Because
I'm saying some people are saying for shows like ours, for people like Trump, they're clamping down. They're getting ready.
Yeah, YouTube went out for a while. Facebook, Instagram, Messenger
went out.
Was down for a long time. A lot of sites were down all at the same time. People thought they were hacked, but no, it was this widespread outage.
All right, so listen. When Facebook went out, I thought I got banned from Facebook because I swear to God, the thing that I posted right before it went down and I got knocked out of my account was a certain video of a certain president that we won't discuss because we've gotten in trouble. I'm sure you know the one.
Yeah, so you probably did cause it. They probably did.
I might have caused it. I was like, oh shit! If you even share that,
it was his fault. It was his
That's
fault.
what
See, so Russell did
yeah.
it. All you guys who
I
lost
did
your
it.
access to Facebook, it was him.
Probably me. It was
Yeah.
probably me.
Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, a couple other sites went down. It was widespread. I think Reddit was down for a little while too. It was a widespread social media outage. But Rumble has its own cloud server now, so they were actually up. They survived it.
That's interesting.
They made it happen. Yeah, no, they're building out a real sort of like infrastructure there, not just a website, but an internet infrastructure. You have to, because it's not enough just to have okay, we have a free speech video sharing site. Okay, what happens when the service providers decide, well, we're not carrying your site?
I've
Right.
wondered about that.
Yeah, you have to build your own
that.
infrastructure, not just your website, which good on them for doing that.
They're like old school pirate radio.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, we did, by the way, yesterday, we had our first ever fourth stream. It was at 2 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Rumble, with our friend Anis Shivani, joined us for the first hour. And he put it very well. He says, Rumble is like what America used to be. He says, this is like what America used to be.
Speaking of which.
Yes. But a fun time was had by all yesterday. We did 3 hours. We did a little over an hour with Anis. Then we did some protest segments. We got into the Adam Schiff protest, the Kirsten Gillibrand protest. And we did get into RFK standing on business. So thanks, Nocturnal Human, for the Rumble rant. That's yours. We got into that, and we did a pretty epic segment on some magazines publishing their, quote, new anti-Semitism articles. Yeah.
Sir, you cannot make something more off-putting and cringe than the Falcon video. Hold my beer.
Yeah, hold my yeah, exactly. And then Russell did an epic segment on these new anti-Semitism articles, which will be dropping on YouTube. We'll drop the clips from those streams on YouTube, but the stream was on Rumble as a Rumble exclusive yesterday. We had a really big crowd. We had about 1,800 watching live at a time, and then I think it's up to a little over 10,000 views over there now. So that was really encouraging to see. And like I said, folks, join the Substack so that you know when and where we're going live, because our Wednesday shows, some of them, not all, not even most, but some will be Rumble exclusive. So if you saw us yesterday, welcome back. If you saw us Tuesday night, welcome back. Tonight, we have our State of the Union live stream. So this is what they call in baseball the old day-night doubleheader. Game in the morning, afternoon off, game at night. And so we will be back live here at 8:45 p.m. The State of the Union starts at 9, and so we'll start the stream at 8:45, give people a chance to file in, and then we will be doing our Mystery Science Theater routine at the State of the Union. So you can watch that live with us tonight at 9 p.m. on YouTube and Rumble.
I will be drinking that good old Southern drawl. I already have a 6-pack in the fridge for it.
Yeah, I'd like to have a drink too, but my stomach is just I feel very queasy lately. I don't feel like drinking alcohol lately. I feel like my stomach is on edge. It's because we're working too much.
I think so.
I need a meditation retreat, reset my nervous system. Yeah, I need to reset my nervous system or something, because something's not right. I can sense it. I haven't drank in a few weeks. I think I've had maybe 1 or 2 drinks in the last few weeks combined, and not good, believe me, not good. Anyway, let's get into some material.
Yeah, see that's the thing with New Orleans, man. Like, unless you're a drunk, your social options are a little limited.
Well, yeah, big time.
Everything centers around drinking here.
Oh yeah, of course, absolutely.
You go to the bar,
culture.
you watch music, and you drink.
Right.
Outdoor festival sponsored by Abita. You drink. That's what I ran into last night that I texted you from.
Right. There you go. Yeah, no, it's definitely part of the scene. No getting around that. For sure. All right, folks, let's do some material. Speaking of speech and social media, this from NBC News: bill that could ban TikTok in the U.S. gains momentum in Congress. Legislation that would force China-based ByteDance to divest TikTok or risk a ban in the U.S. is expected to clear a key committee this week, setting up a future House floor vote. Now, I have to put a caveat. One of my predictions for 2024 was that TikTok would survive, and so this is kind of dangerous news for me. I risk losing a point here. So that's what caught my eye about this is the self-interest of losing bragging rights over my co-host when we do our end of the year scorecard.
Not only that, as Yahoo has revealed, my prediction about Ron DeSantis is on the verge of coming true now.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So he's going to gain one and I'm going to lose one. Yeah. Exactly. Nearly half a year after a TikTok CEO was grilled on Capitol Hill, House Republicans and Democrats are joining together on legislation that would force its parent company, China-based ByteDance, to divest the popular social media company or risk the U.S. banning it from app stores. The bill is co-authored by the bipartisan leaders of the Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party, Chairman Mike Gallagher from Wisconsin, and Ranking Member Representative Raja, Krishnamurthy, a Democrat from Illinois, who
knew there was a Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party?
Yeah, I didn't even know that existed.
Did you know that?
No, I never even heard of that. Who knew? I didn't even know that was a thing. Who also serve on the Intelligence Committee. Both lawmakers recently returned from a visit to Taiwan and the greater Indo-Pacific region. The White House has signaled support for the bill while stopping short of endorsing it. On Thursday, the Energy and Commerce Committee, led by Chair Kathy McMorris Rogers from Washington State, Republican, plans to mark up the bipartisan bill and pass it, sending it to the House floor for a future vote. She said her committee has kept leadership in the loop and been closely working with the White House on the bill. Administration officials have provided technical assistance on the bill, she said. It's a very narrow, targeted bill that we've worked very hard to build bipartisan support, McMorris Rogers told reporters. This is about protecting Americans. The bill, dubbed the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act, what is that? PAFACA, they should call it. The PAFACA Act creates a process for the president.
Wasn't that the lemur Friedman was talking about?
The
PAFACA lemur.
The SAFACA Lemur Act of 2024. This bill reminds me of the SAFACA lemur. Yeah, the sideways bipedal primate that reminds Joe Biden of Benjamin Netanyahu.
All right, that might have been one of my favorite Keaton moments of all time. Yeah, you remind me of the fuck.
Yeah, as Biden should tell that to Netanyahu. It was a very flattering compliment he should give him next time he sees him. I was talking about, I had lunch with my friend Thomas Friedman. He said, you remind him of the SAFACA lemur. He said he looks at you, he thinks of the SAFACA lemur. It's from Madagascar. That's a great compliment to pay a friend.
There was just
that was one of my favorite segments we've ever done on any show. That was so much fun.
Yes, that's fun to even watch in replay. Because you're right. Like we didn't know how funny that was going to be.
It's not that funny when you read it quietly to yourself, but when you actually read it out loud to other people, it's
because
really
it just keeps getting more and more ridiculous. Like he just keeps topping himself with each paragraph.
Right, it's like the guy at the bar who doesn't know when to stop, never catches on that his jokes aren't funny, just keeps going more and more and further and further.
Okay, and you see, you got giraffes in the savannah. It's like it just keeps going and going.
Yeah, no, that was a great one. That was a really funny one. The bill, dubbed the PAFACA Act, creates a process for the president through the FBI and intelligence agencies to identify certain social media applications under the control of a foreign adversary like China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea as a national security threat. U.S. lawmakers and intelligence officials are concerned that TikTok could be used by the Chinese government to access personal data from its more than 150 million users and show them videos that could influence their views on particular issues, including the upcoming presidential election. Testifying before Congress, TikTok CEO Xu Zichu has denied that the Chinese government controls the video sharing app and pushed back on suggestions China accesses U.S. user data. Why would they want to influence the United States presidential election? Like, both parties are pro-war. Like, China wants a ceasefire. There's no candidate for them in the race. Why would they want to influence voters? Influence voters for who? For who? It's not like they have a candidate. It's not like they have a dog in the fight. This bill is an outright ban of TikTok, no matter how much the authors try to disguise it. A TikTok spokesperson said in a statement, this legislation will trample the First Amendment rights of 170 million Americans and deprive 5 million small businesses of a platform they rely on to grow and create jobs. Speaking to reporters Wednesday, Gallagher argued that he and other co-sponsors are not trying to ban the enormously popular short video app, nor trying to quash free speech. It is not a ban. Think of this as a surgery designed to remove the tumor and thereby save the patient in the process, Gallagher said at a news conference. That still sounds like a ban to me. If you value your personal freedom,
they want China to divest.
Yeah, they want them to sell it, which means, but why would they? It's a hugely successful thing, so like they're not going to. So in effect, of course, this will be a ban if it happens, and it looks like it will. If you value your personal freedom and privacy online, if you care about Americans' national security at home, and yes, even if you want TikTok to stick around in the United States, he said, you should agree to having Google brainwash you instead of China. Oh, no, that's not what it says. Sorry. I got ahead of myself. Sometimes I get ahead. Sometimes my brain moves faster than my mind, and I mix the words up. I told you that happens sometimes. What the article actually says is this bill offers the only real step toward each of those goals. The White House has signaled strong support for the bipartisan measure though it's still eyeing some changes. A National Security Council spokesperson said the Biden administration had worked with lawmakers in both parties, quote, to arrive at a durable legislative solution that would address the threat of technology services operating in the United States in a way that poses risks to American sensitive data and our broader national security. This bill is an important and welcome step to address that threat. The NSC official applauded Gallagher and Krishnamurthy's work on the issue and said, we look forward to working with Congress to further strengthening this legislation to put it on the strongest possible legal footing. The president additionally urges Congress to do its part and pass comprehensive bipartisan privacy legislation, especially to protect the safety of our children. So it sounds like Biden is on board. Sounds like the House is going to pass this. The only place it could possibly find a hiccup, I would think, is in the Senate. But there's probably enough bipartisan support to get it through there. So it looks like the days of TikTok might be numbered after all. This is one of the reasons why we never really seriously tried to build up TikTok, because there was always a chance this would happen.
That's exactly why. We started to go on there, and they were making noises about banning TikTok for a long time. And if you read the room, tensions with China are only going to get higher over time as our principal geopolitical rival. So I thought a TikTok ban always had a decent chance. I didn't want to put all the time and work that would have been involved in building up enough followers for it to be worth it to then have it get canceled. In terms of the geopolitics of it, look, man, these are the games that nation states play. China, not in a million years, would allow the equivalent of TikTok run by an outside power in their country. We know they don't. They don't allow these social media platforms within China.
Well, this is partly why, don't forget. Like, yeah, why would they let Google, crawl their AI around their internet when, we want to kick them out of this country? Right. It is statecraft, I guess, and to a certain extent.
It's statecraft. All I'm saying is this is just what states do. Now, the real question is why we have such an antagonistic relationship with China. But given that, this is what a state is going to do. And on the other side, yes, China would never allow the equivalent of TikTok in their country.
Yeah, and it sucks because TikTok has become a hugely popular thing. I mean, it's going to be a major shock to the social media world. I mean, TikTok is more popular than a lot of us think because it's popular with the youngins, with the kids. But a lot of the Free Palestine stuff has been circulating there. They're blaming TikTok, a lot of it, for the anti-Israel sentiment that's going around.
I mean, it's gonna be very good for Reels.
That's true. Facebook and Instagram Reels. See, so now YouTube Shorts, Facebook, Instagram Reels, exactly. They're going to fill the void. There's still video sharing platforms that people will use. Those are going to explode.
Yeah,
and those are within control of the empire, right? And
within control of the empire. Yeah, no, that technology is not going to go away. It's just going to go. All that traffic is just going to probably go to Reels. From what I know of Instagram, the space,
looks like
that's set up best to seamlessly simulate the TikTok experience. as far as the damage it's going to do, yes, there's that upside that you're talking about, but I think it's making a lot of people, as much social media is, but particularly TikTok, it's making the kids, the R word that we don't use anymore in case YouTube brings the hammer down on us.
Well, the social media, but it's fine to, you could think that about social media, but like I said, it's not going to go away when you ban TikTok, right? It's just
true. It's true. It's just going to go somewhere else.
It'll go somewhere else.
But it's hard for me to look at that delivery of information as something that's not creating a tremendous amount of social harm. But you're right. That delivery system is just going to move to an American platform.
That's true. And like I said, there is the flip side of it, which is that people's views are being influenced. And like, why is it bad that people's views are being influenced by someone other than an American multinational corporation? Oh, I answered my own question there.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Well, sure. I mean, that's the thing at bottom. It's not that they care about the well-being of the consumers. It's that they want them to consume their propaganda.
Right.
They don't want competing propaganda in the mix.
Exactly. Pat Donahue, thanks for the €10. I hope for a strike back against the Vanguard. Some of us need a little conflict in our lives. Oh, you need conflict in your life? Is that true? Not enough conflict in the world for Pat Donahue.
I was thinking that last night. I was like, how are we going to keep doing the show in such a peaceful world?
In such a peaceful world. Yeah, exactly. Headed for 50,000 subs. Superb work. Thank you, Pat Donahue. Look, we don't like to go after small channels, Like it's bad form.
It's punching down.
Exactly. It's bad form to go after small channels.
Yeah.
They're doing their best over there. They're making do with what they got.
Work with.
Yeah, they're making do with what they got.
Okay, for $10.
Thank you, Lawrence. Appreciate it.
I'll say this. Of course, we did watch it. That and I'm not saying this because they took a swipe at us. Even for them, that was like a level of stupid, where it was really like watching a couple of kids in their mom's basement talking about, like, it didn't even make sense on its own terms. Like, Jimmy actually trash talked Elon in that video. He said, yes, X is better. And then he trashed his whole Tesla project, which is the core of his fortune.
And that you can't, and said you can't trust him, which obviously you can't. That's what we said. I think that was in response to a super chat or something that just came up on the show. That wasn't even supposed to be a segment, but yeah. Look, our view on Elon has never changed. We've always said it's better now than it was, but he can't be trusted as a serious free speech advocate.
Well, it's
simple. How hard is that to understand? Like, I don't understand.
Well, and I sent this to you this morning. He's being sued by OpenAI. Or he's suing them now. And they released his emails.
Right.
And this is very Elon, and it's very revealing because he's saying, oh, they moved away from being this not-for-profit platform, which is what they were supposed to be, and it's very sad. So the Elon stands see that and say, see, he's standing up for keeping AI open and free. So he's suing them now, and they're like, all right, fine. They released his emails where he told them, you're going to have to make a lot of money in order to maintain this. You need to make billions of dollars, where he repeatedly told them they need to be for profit. That's fucking Elon. Right. He's a scumbag. Is he? And this was our view from day one. Yeah. Would we rather the Elon scumbag be in control of X than the Jack Dorsey scumbag? Yes. He's still a scumbag.
Right. Exactly. And that seems to be pretty easy. Okay. Let's see here. Have you thought about showing the Tucker after commentary and commenting live on what he says? Yeah, Tucker is live streaming the State of the Union also. Apparently Trump is doing play-by-play.
That's like the infinite mirrors.
Yeah. Well, apparently Trump is doing play-by-play
on Tucker
also.
Commenting.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. The inception of reaction videos. Apparently Trump's doing something too. So we are competing.
Oh, Trump is
we have big competition this evening, folks. We're going up against Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump, right? And we all obviously share an audience, and so we're really going head to head. It's a clash of the Titans.
My money's on us.
Yeah. Yes, my money is on us. Smart money is on us. Okay. What did I just do? What did I do? I meant to do something. And I
Maybe he'll
forgot.
make an appearance. He's a fan.
I am a dissident.
Dissident. Ketanji Brown Jackson, the new black face of white supremacy. Is that what they're calling her because she sided with Donald Trump, or is that what you're calling her in seriousness? I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me to see them call her that. They took a lot of swipes. Keith Olbermann said they lack reading comprehension. The liberal justices lack reading comprehension.
I know. And one's black and one's Latina. Apparently, you didn't get the memo.
Yeah.
That you can't say that. Although, you know what? If you're
Thanks,
in good standing, you can say whatever the fuck you want.
You can say whatever you want.
Tucker
Once
Carlson
they cross
can't
you,
say
they're
that.
fair game. Right. He can't say that. If he ever said that 3 women, 2 of whom, like I said, one black and one Hispanic, if he ever said they lack reading comprehension, I mean, now they can't cancel him because he's got his own shop, but they would cancel him if he didn't.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Henry DeShazzo, morning, guys. You had me at MST 3K. Thank you. Will S. Biden gonna be flying on make sense drugs tonight. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting State of the Union in a couple of ways. But we do have a segment about the State of the Union right now.
But I think what's going on with him is like the Logan movie, where they had the drug he would use to kind of restore his powers for short bursts, and but eventually it becomes less and less effective. I think that's what's happening with him. Whatever super compound V kind of shit they're shooting him up with, what that drug has to infuse is just becoming more and more diminished over time.
It's like anything else, right? I mean, when you first start drinking, you get a nice buzz over,
Right.
half an ounce of whiskey. And then, as you gain experience, it takes longer. All right, let's do a State of the Union segment. This is a really interesting and positive story for what it's worth. But Julian Assange's brother, Gabriel Shipton, will be in attendance tonight at the State of the Union address. Representative Thomas Massie bringing brother of WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange to the State of the Union. This from the Lexington Courier Journal. Is it Lexington or Louisville? I don't know. One of them Kentucky journals. He's a representative from Kentucky. I get those cities mixed up because they're in the same state and they both start with an L, and they're the only 2 real cities in the state, I think. But anyway, whichever journal this is, U.S. Representative Thomas Massie has invited Gabriel Shipton, the brother of imprisoned WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, as his guest for this week's State of the Union address. The Kentucky Republican decided to bring Shipton as part of his message that the U.S. should drop Assange's criminal charges and stop seeking his extradition. Quote, the U.S. government's ongoing effort to prosecute Julian Assange threatens the First Amendment rights of Americans and should be opposed, Massie said in a statement to the Courier Journal. During his term in office, I asked President Trump to pardon Mr. Assange, and I was disappointed by his failure to do so. President Biden should stop seeking Assange's extradition and should instead drop the criminal charges currently being pursued by the Department of Justice. The U.S. wants Assange, 52, sent to the U.S. to face his charges, but Assange's lawyers are trying to stop him from being sent. This month would be the earliest when Assange could find out whether he can challenge extradition. Shipton has advocated for his brother's release, including visiting Washington, D.C. to lobby on Assange's behalf. He is the chair of the Assange campaign, which was organized to support and protect Assange, and has previously said that Assange's charges have driven a wedge between the U.S. and Australia. I am honored to be Representative Massie's guest at the State of the Union address, Shipton said in a statement released by Massie's office. The prosecution of Julian Assange is a direct attack on the First Amendment and the freedom of the press to publish information in the public interest. Representative Massie is a fierce defender of these rights, having introduced legislation that would protect my brother Julian and put an end to the Espionage Act being weaponized against publishers. I hope President Biden can take a new look at the indictment and see it for the threat to democracy that it is. Last year, Massie sent a bipartisan letter to Biden urging him to drop the prosecution of Assange. Senator Rand Paul also signed the letter. Shipton is also a film producer, then produced Ithaca in 2021, which highlights their father's journey and fight to free Julian Assange. Here's Gabriel Shipton outside the Day X hearings. This is from WikiLeaks' Dropbox, which they were gracious enough to share with us. So here's a speech of his. This is who we're talking about here.
Hey everyone, thanks again for coming out and braving the weather. Amazing turnout again. It's sort of a bit embarrassing watching the prosecutors in there trying to tell us that day was night and night was day, that Chelsea Manning's not a whistleblower and Julian's not a journalist. They really just brought absolute shame to that court and to the United Kingdom justice system. And this case remains a stain on the US, a stain on the UK, and both governments should be absolutely ashamed of it and what they're doing to press freedom and our rights. Because what was going on in there is the prosecutors telling us that journalism is a threat to democracy. And whistleblowing is a threat to democracy. Our right to know is a threat to democracy. So shame on them and free Julian Assange.
I got to say, in a world with not too many positive developments, the fact that he's going to be in there tonight is one of them. That's pretty cool. And you know what? I hope he does a Jose Vega on the room. I really do. You should get up and fucking say something.
I don't
this
think
is your
he's
chance.
Do that.
Well, you should do it.
I mean, it would be awesome.
Yeah. And people have done that before. They screamed the "you lie" at Obama. Didn't some of the Democrats yell shit back at Trump, right? And then didn't Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene scream at Biden the first time? Like, that's kind of a State of the Union. That's kind of a thing to do now. It's not really out of bounds anymore. So why not?
Yeah, but I very much doubt Assange's brother. Maybe Massey. That would be nice.
That would be fun.
So, and I just want to point out once again, anytime somebody tells you, well, you have to support Democrats to preserve freedom. So who's bringing Assange's brother?
Yep,
to the State of the Union.
Kentucky Republican,
not a Democrat.
Kentucky Republican, right?
Not a Democrat. Who is refusing to issue a pardon? Who's refusing to drop these charges? It's not a Republican. It's a Democrat president. It's a Democrat administration. These are the people who are persecuting this journalist. Yes, the case started under Trump. Trump had the opportunity to pardon him. I'm not saying he's better, but these are supposed to be the protectors of liberty and freedom, and we have to stop Trump because he's going to be so much worse. How so? How so? If that's the case, why is Julian Assange being tortured to death in prison right now?
Right. And the fact that he is being brought to the State of the Union by a Kentucky Republican, and that the letter that was released even earlier this year had Marjorie Taylor Greene's signature on it. It also had AOC's signature on it. When we had Misty Winston on while you were in Europe, Russ, one of the things that she found most impressive about the Assange coalition was how cross-partisan it actually is, right? You actually have people from the left and the right who actually can see the truth as clear and as basic and as simple as it is on this issue. So why, if you are one of these squad members, do you cede that ground to the right wing of that coalition? Like where is the left on this issue?
Nowhere.
Yeah.
Nowhere. You don't see any of the squad members speaking out about this. It's one of those issues you could tell in Washington, like speaking out against the military-industrial complex. You ever see any of them stand up, any of these squad people, and say the words Northrop Grumman, Boeing?
Right. Yeah.
You ever see them say that? Same thing. You'll never see them say Julian Assange. It's one of those things that you're getting into deep state, permanent bureaucracy agenda shit that they will fuck you up for. And yes, I think, the idea of Trump's anti-war bona fides are somewhat exaggerated. Nonetheless, Chuck Schumer, man, he went, as he occasionally does, and said the soft part out loud. Once in a while, he forgets himself. If you mess with these people, they have ways to get you 7 ways to Sunday. He straight out said the unelected intelligence service bureaucrats will attack a president if he is in opposition to them. Like, he just revealed that you don't live in a democracy when he said that.
Right.
Like, all of the conspiracy theories are apparently true, according to Chuck Schumer. If we have intelligence services that a president is not able to rein in, that will retaliate against the president, well, isn't that something we should do something about?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
He talks about like that. That's
the Democrats
the way
take
it
comfort
is.
in that. They take comfort in that. They've relied on that ever since. I was like, oh, good. You know, that's part of what all this lawfare is, right? Not that that's necessarily deep state, because that's in the public record, but same kind of thing. Permanent power mechanisms being used to push back against a leader who represents the will of the people, or our version of the people, right? It's not a popular vote system, but whatever. He's sent there, people send him there, and there are these other people, this group of people that has a check on that. How? Well, we don't know. Just take they have 7 ways from Sunday getting back at you. What do we mean by that? Well, you're on a need-to-know basis about that.
Well, that was one of the most mind-boggling things about the Trump years, and it never really ended. Watching libs, watching people who nominally consider themselves left, we don't, but they do, embracing the CIA, embracing people like, I believe it was John Brennan, who literally got caught spying on the Senate because they were investigating actions of the CIA. Like, really, and then perjuring himself in front of Congress about it. John Brennan's a fucking criminal. He should be in prison. He should be in prison, like, clearly. Not the way Nancy Pelosi should be in prison, where Congress passed laws to make insider trading legal for themselves.
So she technically can't be sent there. Right, yeah.
Right. No, I mean, literally, there are laws on the books where he should be in prison. And you saw all of these libs just because he was part of the Mick resistance. He was anti-Trump. Oh, look at these honorable agents coming out, and they would come and talk about America and defending America. That is fucking incredible. Like, they were always the nemesis of even the liberal class, the CIA and the FBI. And now that's where this is such a weird political moment, because to hear that kind of analysis about the deep state and the crimes of the CIA, you have to look to people like Rand Paul and Thomas Massie if you want to hear that.
Yep, indeed. No question about it. Zaldivar, thanks for the $2. Keaton, try a fast. They're great for resetting. Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe
people
I should
say
try
that.
Fast. People say that. I'm hearing that. People are saying that. Very smart people are saying that, including you. So thank you for the donation and the advice. Voting threatens democracy. Thinking threatens freedom. Peace threatens the American dream. Vote blue no matter how dead. Yes. Thank you, Caves of Chaos 123. Appreciate that. The judge is here. Thank you. Keep up the great work, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, let's move right along. The State of the Union is tonight, folks, and Joe Biden is going to bring his A game. He's bringing his fastball tonight. No sleeping through this one. No ice cream cones this time. And for those,
he just a couple of days ago, assuming it's not a doctored picture, it's just kind of hard to believe he did this, but then again, not. Maloney, I guess, was visiting Washington, and he kissed her on the top of the head.
Yeah, kissed her on the forehead. Yeah, that's a famous photo.
That's a real photo. Okay.
Yeah, and she's a fascist. She's what they, she's the kind of leader.
Fascista.
That'd be like, right. That's like if Melania Trump were there and he kissed her on the head. Yeah. He loves his fascist friends. Like what's they say? Scratch a liberal, a fascist flee. Right. Here's Joe Scarborough assuring you that Biden is just fine. That all of this fretting about his mental faculties is nonsense, bullshit, lies. Here's Joe Scarborough laying down the law.
Brace yourself if you haven't seen this, because you're about to be shocked. I know you think you can't be shocked anymore. Get ready.
Get ready. They call this in the industry jumping the shark. jumping the shark. That's why I put it in the thumbnail. This is Morning Joe jumping the shark.
But comparing that guy's mental state, I've said it for years now, he's cogent. But I undersold him when I said he was cogent. He's far beyond cogent. In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been. Intellectually, analytically, because he's been around for 50 years. And, I don't know if people know this or not, Biden used to be a hothead. Sometimes that Irishman would get in front of the reasoning. Sometimes he would say things he didn't want to say. This is, and
so basically he's saying he was always kind of a moron, which
I
is
don't
true
need
enough.
this. I don't need this working class hero crap.
I mean, that is true enough. He's always been kind of an idiot and a nasty guy.
He's less of an idiot now. Okay.
Right, yeah, exactly.
All right.
That seems to be what he's saying so far. Hey, look, I knew this guy. He used to make gaffes all the time. He's always said shit that he didn't mean to say. So now he's actually better. Yes, that's right. He's better than he's ever been. His mental state is better than ever, according to MSNBC.
When you're half dead, you're not as prone to temper tantrums. You don't have the energy. You're not able to muster up the energy to throw a tantrum.
Right, he's mellower. Exactly.
Unless it's because they're late with your pudding.
Right. Yeah, like he seems mellower than he used to. I mean, he used to be a real nasty bastard, right? He used to say, we need to lock these sons of bitches up, right? I don't care why they are the way they are. I know they hit my mother in the head, so lock them up. Like he used to be a real belligerent
I'm not going to tell you who they are, but you know.
you know who they are. Exactly. Like, he used to be a real belligerent asshole. He's mellowed temperamentally in his old age, but that doesn't mean he's all there. But he's not done.
I don't really, you know what? I don't really care. Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth.
Oh, yeah.
And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever. Not a close second. And I've known him for years. The Brzezinskis have known him for 50 years. If it weren't the truth, I wouldn't say it. And
I mean, the thing, I mean, there's a million ways in which that's crazy. But one way you might not think of is that Biden always had a reputation for being kind of dumb. Like in the Obama White House, he was kind of the, he was kind of the fuck up. He was the ne'er-do-well, right? We brought you in here so that the white people in Western Pennsylvania would vote for us and we'd win Pennsylvania. The white people in Eastern Ohio would vote for us and we'd win Ohio. Like, you were brought here to appeal to white Midwestern voters so that they didn't think that by voting for Barack Obama, they were voting for Malcolm X, right? Exactly. And so that's why he was there. They didn't actually respect him. So he's always had a reputation for being a bit of a dumbass. And so that just makes this extra special, because part of what you're saying that, he's the best he's ever been, like temperamentally, that's probably true. But intellectually, it's so absurd. Like, it's insane, obviously. I mean, these are the lies they will tell themselves. Because what's the sound drop, Russell? I mean, this was partly that, right? We have our Bark at the Moon sound drop here. I'm surprised you didn't play
Bark at the Moon.
I mean, that's really what that is. You're signaling to the audience. You're doing a performance. The audience wants to feel confident in Joe Biden heading into this big State of the Union speech and heading into the general election campaign now that Super Tuesday is in the rearview mirror. They want to be reassured. You're the newsman on the liberal network. Your job is to give them the emotional reassurance that they seek when they turn on the TV to watch you. And that's what he does, even if it is as just transparently absurd as what he said.
Well, their entire business model relies on this Monarchian worldview of bad Republicans and good Democrats. And the worst thing you can ever say about Democrats within this world is that they're naive or they're too smart for their own good. And it gets in the way of communicating to the troglodytes, right?
Right.
The Democrats have to get better with their messaging. They're too intellectual. That's the most common criticism you'll see in these quarters. It's the only criticism, really, that they're too smart for their own good. And as a result, it puts a wedge between them and the idiots that they need to vote for them, who are voting against their own best interests that they don't see because the Democrats are not dumbing it down enough for them. That's what, insofar as there's a critique, that's it. How do you take Joe Biden, who is clearly in severe age-related cognitive decline, and pump that up as the good guys versus the bad guys? And this is the result. I mean, what else can you do other than to go full state TV? You just got to go full North Korea on it. It's just our dear leader has never been better. He has never been wiser. He has never been smarter than he is now. Don't you all agree, dear comrades?
Yeah. Yeah. And it really shows just how joined at the hip they are to the Democratic Party itself. Like in 2016, Chuck Todd did a segment talking about how the Bernie people were complaining that they were being treated unfairly by the DNC. Debbie Wasserman Schultz sent him a message, email or something, saying, we don't appreciate that coverage. And they stopped. Because, look, if you actually have severe Trump derangement syndrome, as MSNBC does, you guys have a direct line to the brain of the Democratic primary voter. Like, if you really feared Trump as much as you say you do, you could, more than anyone else, actually influence the party to swap Joe Biden out. But they're not doing it. They're doubling down. It just shows you how they're one and the same. They are just the propaganda arm of the Democratic Party. They're not just cheerleaders. If you were a good cheerleader, you would be saying we need to swap him out. He can't do it. This is insane.
Like Jon Stewart.
Yeah, like Jon Stewart tried to do. He tried to do them a favor. And look what happened. Look what happened. That's what they would be doing if they cared. Well, some of these sincere libs, like Bob Costas, have said, this is insane. This is suicidal. The emperor has no clothes. That's obvious. He can't do it. Why aren't more people like me saying it? Well, because the media and the White House are one and the same. It's really tough to see where one begins and one ends.
Well, we saw a lot of that come out thanks to WikiLeaks. How these emails go back and forth, phone calls go back and forth between the Hillary campaign and the networks. They call them up and complain when they don't like the coverage. Which, why do they even have that kind of access? But more to the point, why are they listened to? Why are they indulged? This is why somebody like Ed Schultz couldn't survive on MSNBC. They'll get phone calls from the Democratic National Committee. Hey, why did you have that person on? Why did you allow them to do this segment? We've seen it. We've seen the emails. We've seen the communications. They gave Donna Brazile the questions in advance. What was it, for the CNN debate?
Yeah, exactly. They gave Hillary I think it was the death penalty question in advance, which I remember watching that because that was a tough question. Like when they asked it, I was kind of excited. Wow, how is she going to answer this? Because not only was it a tough question, but it's on an issue that doesn't get talked about a lot. And she was there like, boom, like she had it ready to go. She had a scripted answer ready to go. I'm like, damn, I didn't know. I mean, Hillary's not that talented a politician. I'm surprised she was that good on that question. Well, now we know why. Because she got the question in advance and they prepped it. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm seeing this in the social media verse where, the libs are, starting to spread their memes. So I'm going to pitch this right on the air. At least through the election, I want to do a segment once a week, lib memes of the week. It'll be a good laugh and it'll be good for my psychological health because I just have to rant about some of what I'm seeing.
All right. Yeah. Maybe I think we can greenlight that. What do you think in the chat? Lib memes of the week? What do you think? That might be something. All right. Let's move on here. Folks, we did our not a patron, but a Rumble exclusive stream yesterday. We are on 4 days a week now, thanks to our Patreon members and our paid Substack subscribers. And so we always want to take a moment out of our show day here to thank everybody who has signed up. Like I said, there are a couple names that are still missing. Jake has not added them yet. He will be on again on Sunday, so I'll make sure they're on there. So apologies about that. But this is our patron scroll. You guys are the backbone of the show. We had a great time yesterday on Rumble with quite a few people tuned in. It was a great turnout for our first Rumble exclusive stream that's open to the public, and that is thanks to our Patreon members. You guys make this show happen. You're the backbone of the operation. So you can join up now by going to patreon.com/do-dissidence. You can also join our Substack. Same perks apply across all platforms, Patreon, Substack, and Locals. The Substack is do-dissidence.substack.com. And the Locals page, do-dissidence.locals.com. If you're watching on Rumble right now, which we have almost 900 of you in there, so that's awesome, you can hit that join button right underneath the screen and join our Locals community. So that's, once again, Patreon, Locals, and Substack. You guys are the backbone of the program. We appreciate you all very much. You get your name up in lights on the scroll here. You also get access to our post-show Q&As, which are every Sunday night, and access to 2 patron exclusive streams per month. We do 2 private shows per month for our paid members, so you get extra content as well. Program note, this Sunday we will be on at 10 a.m. Another morning show this Sunday morning. So that's Sunday 10 a.m. Eastern. Last time we did a 10 a.m. show on Sunday, we had a massive crowd, so it seems to be a good time slot. We're still going to keep our night show where it is for now, but this Sunday we will be on in the morning, not at 7 p.m. So mark that down, 7 p.m. live on YouTube and Rumble this Sunday. So thank you guys very much.
Because it is Oscars Day, we're going to open the gates of hell, and I'm going to cover all the Disney stories I've been holding back. Going to talk about Bob Iger selling 80% of his stock, and just an overall Hollywood critique about the collapse of Hollywood.
Yeah, we'll do a big Hollywood segment. It's not going to be the whole show, but that'll be part of the show. Right.
Part of the show.
Some Hollywood stuff for Oscars Day. It is Oscar Sunday this Sunday. All right, Brits man. More like Nikki Haley. Haha, good one. We're going to do Nikki Haley's dropping out next, actually.
The meme idea is popular, so we will start doing that.
Yeah, I can't imagine it wouldn't be.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
We all live to dunk on liberal memes. That's the whole point of this show, is to dunk on liberal memes, really. That's the ethos of the show.
That was the genesis.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right. Well, here's something.
We were friends with a liberal meme.
Yeah.
That's what brought us together.
Yeah, exactly. That's how Russell and I met. We met dunking on liberal memes. That's true. That's true. All right, Russell, let's do this. We were going to do this. We didn't know exactly when or how, but we figured this would come up. Thoughts on Jen Perlman challenging the Ghoul Wasserman shits in Florida. Her rage at the Zionists is strong, but hard to take her seriously running as a Democrat. Do me a favor, humor me for a second. I'm going to read this over again so that I don't curse in the first 15 seconds, because we're probably going to clip this, since we were thinking of probably doing this anyway. Thoughts on Jen Perlman challenging the Ghoul Wasserman Schultz in Florida. Her rage at the Zionists is strong, but hard to take her seriously running as a Dem. Yeah, so for those who missed this, this is some news that broke the past couple of days. Peter from Generational Change texted me and let me know that this was happening, and then sure enough, it happened. Jen for Congress 2024. There are many reasons to try this one more time against Wasserman Schultz. The biggest is Gaza. I cannot sit on the sidelines at a time when so many are suffering. So here we go. Jen 2024, she's got an email. She has an Act Blue. Obviously, she said she wants to set up an alternate donor server so that you don't have to donate to Act Blue to donate to her, since I guess quite a few of her supporters don't want to donate to Act Blue, which, of course, was part of my critique from the very beginning. But she ran against Debbie Wasserman Schultz in, I think it was 2020 or 2022. It was one of those 2 years. I forget which one she did. But she is challenging her again in South Florida. And look, I know Jen, I know Peter there. We've been on their show. They've been on ours. I don't have a bad thing to say about them. But what I will say is that the first time we ever met them was on their show, where I told them kind of forcefully that she shouldn't run She shouldn't run as a Democrat. And it's the same thing I told to Marianne Williamson. I said, this is not a reflection.
Who we're also friends with.
Yeah, who we're also friends with. Yeah, exactly.
Surprise!
I told this to Marianne, and you know what my take on all of this is. I mean, the whole ethos of this show now is a post-duopoly show, and the reason we say don't run as a Democrat is not because of the person, but because of the voters who the person is trying to get to vote for them. I'll say this, about Jen. It takes guts to run as an anti-Zionist Jewish woman in South Florida against a Jewish incumbent. Like, that comes with social cost. That's not something you do for the fame or for the money or for this. Like, it's not a grift in any way.
Where the fuck do you get the balls?
Exactly. That's not an easy thing to do. And so I give her credit for having that sentiment, and I think it's a courageous thing to do. But look, we got to be honest with ourselves and our audience, and with them. That, look, I advise you not to do it. And so I can't say this is a great idea. Like, I wish I could, but I can't. If you were running third party, and I know you say, well, in Broward County, you can't run third party because the Democrats have a stranglehold. Well, then Broward County has fallen. I'm sorry to say. Like, sometimes it just is what it is. That's my attitude towards it. I don't mean any ill will about it, but that's where I got to come down. It would be dishonest of me to say anything else. And the only other thing I would add to that is, as a latest example of what I mean, we covered this on Rumble yesterday. Look at the Adam Schiff race. Look at the California race. And California is way to the left of Broward County, okay? And they voted for fucking Adam Schiff. They voted for the most Zionist, most AIPAC-funded candidate in the race. Adam Schiff, that's right.
Stay on brand. Stay on brand.
Yeah, I'm used to saying his name in the first 30
Adam
seconds
Schiff
of the clip.
And Debbie Wasserman Schmuck.
There we go. All right. Look at how they voted for him. The only ceasefire candidate in California's Senate race got 8% of the vote. Those are Democratic voters for you. Those are Democratic voters. That's in woke, progressive, crazy, hippie California. In Broward County, a county full of Joy Behars, I mean, I just can't advise it. And I said this to Jen to her face, so I'm not saying anything new. I'm not pulling a card out of the bottom of the deck. This is how I've always felt. I've been very clear about this from day one, and so I wish you luck. I seriously do. I think it's brave of you to do it. Like I said, and she talked about how she was raised a Zionist Jew. Down there, man, you cross Israel down there, that's not an easy thing to do down there. So I give you credit for that. But I'm sorry. The only thing I could say is it's a waste. I wish I didn't feel that way.
Yeah. And so why do we feel so strongly about this? Why do we come out this way about these things? Not just us. When we were doing literally the post-duopoly show with Kit and with RBN, really, this is the point. Working people have limited resources. And when you announce this kind of an absolutely doomed campaign within this corrupt party, you're asking people to give you resources of time and money that they do not have in abundance. So if you want to run, there is an argument for running to get visibility, to get platformed, but you could do that as an independent. Now you're saying you literally can't run as an independent.
No, she's saying she has no chance to win, which is
you
true.
Have no chance to win now.
But you have no chance to win now. Right.
So I mean, the only argument for the candidacy, I mean, the idea that you're going to beat Debbie Wasserman Schmuck with an anti-Zionist message in Broward County is absolutely absurd. There's no universe in which that happens. There is no multiverse of madness in which you could possibly win that race. So winning is off the table. So then you want to make some kind of a statement. Okay, run as an independent. Fine. But when you run as a Democrat, you are perpetuating the premise that the Democratic Party is actually runs primaries.
And is redeemable.
And is redeemable. They do not run primaries. Now, it's one thing to go to a casino when you don't know the dice is loaded and to lose your shirt, as we did with the Bernie campaign. It's another thing to keep going back to that casino after you know. We know.
Yeah, and look,
any party that went into court and argued, we are under no obligation to honor the results of primary contests. We are under no obligation to run a fair primary. If we want to decide in a back room, we are free to do that. We're a private organization. To keep getting involved in that party, I mean, that's on you. Look, fool me once, shame on me, right? I mean, come on. So there are mutual aid efforts. There are union drives. There are grassroots organizations that if you really want to do something positive, you can platform. You can push people in that direction. You can make yourself a very visible champion of. There are a lot of ways to make a positive impact that don't involve wasting people's time and money on a doomed campaign. And again, if you do want to run, at least run as an independent so that you're not perpetuating the illusion that there's some kind of legitimate political party behind this.
I mean, I'd go farther than that. I'm all for running as an independent. Jose Vega's running as a third-party candidate. Like, if you run as a third party, it's a whole different thing. And look, we stuck around longer than we should have. Or I won't speak for Russell, although I think he was more or less with me on this. The final thing for me in terms of running these primaries was when Nina Turner, and I mentioned this the first time we ever talked to Jen, Nina Turner had a 35-point lead erased in about 6 weeks. All it took was some AIPAC money, a Hillary Clinton endorsement, a Chantel Brown. I mean, I'm sorry, the fucking guy's name, South Carolina, the guy with the health insurance.
James Clyburn.
James Clyburn. Yeah, blanked on it. He endorsed Chantel Brown. Hillary endorsed Chantel Brown. They flooded some AIPAC money there. The shit libs put their, she called Joe Biden half a bowl of shit. And that's all. A 35-point was erased in just a few weeks against the candidate. No one ever heard of Chantel Brown. Nina Turner had a lot of name ID in that district. She got national recognition with the Bernie campaign. So if you could do that,
wasn't Brown under investigation for nepotism and hiring?
Democrats,
if I'm remembering correctly,
matter. Like Democrats don't look into their own. So yeah, I mean you're right, but I didn't expect that to make a difference. But when the powers that be within the party can just crush a candidate with majority support, it was 50-15. And just turn that around to the point where she loses in a race that's not even close on election day. I was like, come on, man. And look, if you look at California, they're not voting for Adam Schiff because he's AIPAC funded. They're not voting for Adam Schiff because he's a Zionist. Some of them are. I mean, you got rich, Zionist Dems in California who certainly like that about him. Most of them are voting for Adam Schiff for the same reason that the idiots in the West Village voted for Dan Goldman. He's tough on Trump. They like that Adam Schiff lied about Russiagate. That's a feather in his cap in California. It is just a cult, and the price of admission to the cult is Trump derangement syndrome. The most Trump deranged, shit-lib, vapid, banal piece of garbage that you can run is who is the favorite to win in a Democratic primary. And I think this latest California Senate race is evidence of that. The fact that Katie Porter, who's really not good, Barbara Lee is the one who you would vote for, 8 points, 8 fucking points in a state that's to the left of where Jen is running. I mean, like I said, I wish I didn't feel this way. I really do. Like I don't like feeling this way. It'd be an easier life to live if I didn't. But I gotta say, how I feel. That's all.
Well, this is what, if you remember, if you were active in the Bernie campaign, this is what the older leftists very often tried to tell us, because they had been through this with the Democratic Party. They were the last group of leftists to try to take over the Democratic Party, and they got purged a long time ago. And they were trying to tell us they're going to do the same thing to you. They're going to co-opt your movement, and the people they can't co-opt, they're going to drive out. And that's where we are. That's where we are. That's where you see these, the ones who got co-opted, or the majority report types, right? Who, they believe in universal health care, but they're going to tell you to vote for Joe Biden, right? They're not really going to put it on the line for any of those principles. In the end, they're going to be good Democrats. And then you have the people like us who just got completely alienated from the party. So yeah, that's exactly what happened. That's why Barbara Lee would get 8%. If Barbara Lee had been running against Adam Schiff in 2016, she would have done a lot better because people like us would have been promoting that campaign. The left space wasn't as fragmented. You would have had TYT probably pushing her, and she still wouldn't have won. But she would have done a lot better than that. At this point, there's nobody left. All the people like us, this is what they wanted. They wanted us out, and we're out.
Right. And you would say, well, you're conceding defeat by doing what they want. Well, no, not necessarily, because if the dice are loaded, then they're loaded. That's it. And you work to dismantle them from the outside. You build alternate movements, and so that's what I feel very, very strongly about. Anyway,
well, let me just point out, probably one of the greatest military figures in our history, James Tiberius Kirk, when he was a student at Starfleet Academy, was faced with a test, the Kobayashi Maru, the no-win situation. So what did he do? He reprogrammed the computer because he didn't believe in the no-win situation. That's what we're doing. We're reprogramming the computer. When you're in a rigged game, you have to change the rules.
Exactly.
You have to get out. You have to flip the board. There's no way to win inside it. So did we concede the corrupt Democratic Party to those who it belongs to? Yes.
And you
render unto Caesar what is Caesar's.
Right.
Give it to them.
Give it to them. You want this flaming pile of shit? Go ahead. It's yours. Fuck off. That's my attitude. Anyway, all right. Derek says democracy is a threat to democracy. That's the Democratic Party. Yes, indeed. Luis de la Cruz, I can't stand Amy Goodman. Here's $5. Well, thank you, Luis de la Cruz. We got your money's worth for saying that.
We didn't say anything about Amy
We didn't say anything good. I think he's just letting people know. That's his contribution to the conversation, and he highlighted that with a super chat. The Republicans will poop in your mouth, says Scott George. The Democrats will poop in your mouth and call it a chocolate sundae. That's a lovely imagery. That's the difference between them. Thank you, Scott George. Okay, let's move right along. After Super Tuesday, Nikki Haley dropped out of the Republican primary, essentially conceding the nomination to Donald Trump. She was the last one standing besides the king himself. Here's Nikki Haley refusing to endorse Donald Trump for November.
In all likelihood, Donald Trump will be the Republican nominee when our party convention meets in July. I congratulate him and wish him well. I wish anyone well who would be America's president. Our country is too precious to let our differences divide us. I have always been a conservative Republican and always supported the Republican nominee. But on this question, as she did on so many others, Margaret Thatcher provided some good advice when she said, quote, "Never just follow the crowd. Always make up your own mind." It is now up to Donald Trump to earn the votes of those in our party and beyond it who did not support him. And I hope he does that. At its best, politics is about bringing people into your cause, not turning them away. And our conservative cause badly needs more people. This is now his time for choosing. I end my campaign with the same words I began it, from the book of Joshua. I direct them to all Americans, but especially to so many of the women and girls out there who put their faith in our campaign. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for God will be with you wherever you go. In this campaign, I have seen our country's greatness.
All right, that's enough. We don't need to see that. The operative part was the part that we were all hoping Bernie Sanders would say in 2016. Seems like he's the only one who doesn't do that. You know, like we all thought, well, yeah, we wish he would withhold his endorsement and try and get some concessions, but I guess that's just not how it works, right? We were so naive. No, it turns out even she's saying, no, I'm not endorsing. Ted Cruz wouldn't endorse Trump. Even Marianne, she quit. She didn't endorse Biden. Now she got back in, right? Dean Phillips quit yesterday, and he endorsed Biden. So that's the company, I guess, that Sanders keeps. But who else? You had RFK decide, no, they're rigging this against me. I'm running as an independent. Like, apparently it wasn't too much to ask that Bernie do this. He seems to be the only one too weak to actually do that. But Joe Biden sees an opportunity here.
Look, my wife might have gotten up to some funny business at a university, and they explained that they could prosecute, so I had to make the endorsement.
And so, in the words of Margaret Thatcher, politics should be whatever she said. Statement from President Biden on Nikki Haley withdrawing from the Republican presidential primary. So Biden sees an opportunity here to get some of these suburban wine moms maybe back. You know, it was the moderate, affluent, conservative independent that broke for Biden in 2020. They're now breaking away from him, so now maybe he feels he can get some of them back here. So here's a statement from President Biden on Nikki Haley withdrawing from the primary. It takes a lot of courage to run for president. That's especially true in today's Republican Party, where so few dare to speak the truth about Donald Trump. Nikki Haley was willing to speak the truth about Trump, about the chaos that always follows him, about his inability to see right from wrong, about his cowering before Vladimir Putin. Donald Trump made it clear he doesn't want Nikki Haley's supporters. I want to be clear. There is a place for them in my campaign. I know there is a lot we won't agree on, but on the fundamental issues of preserving American democracy, on standing up for the rule of law, on treating each other with decency and dignity and respect, on preserving NATO and standing up to America's adversaries, I hope and believe we can find common ground. We all know this is no ordinary election, and the stakes for America couldn't be higher. I know that Democrats and Republicans and independents disagree on many issues and hold strong convictions. That's a good thing. That's what America stands for. But I also know this. What unites Democrats and Republicans as independents is a love for America. That was beautiful. I mean, look, if it's any consolation to Biden, I think a lot of Nikki Haley's supporters already plan to vote for Biden in November. Some of them even plan to vote for Biden over Haley should she be the nominee. You saw CNN interviewed a couple of these people. Yeah, I'm only voting for Haley to stop Trump, but even if Haley wins the nomination, I'm going to vote for Biden over her. A lot of her support came from Democrats. That's why she did so much better in the open primary state. She actually won Vermont, because it's an open primary state. So Burlington, this very liberal college town, came out for Haley, so he's already got a lot of her voters. A lot of her voters already were his voters. But let's hear Van Jones lay it on thick and really make the case to Nikki Haley's voters why they should come and vote for Joe Biden.
And Van, what does President Biden need to do at this point to earn those Nikki Haley supporters, bring them into the fold? We saw the Biden campaign putting out a statement from President Biden almost immediately after Nikki Haley walked off that stage in South Carolina. What do you think?
I think he needs to talk to her donors and her supporters and say, if you want to, a year from now, watch Russian tanks rolling through Europe, then endorse Donald Trump and get on that bandwagon. But understand, you're going to wake up one morning and you're going to see horror across Europe, and you're going to have American soldiers, sailors having to go over there and do something that we could have done with dollars, we're going to have to do with blood. If you want to continue to see the country being divided and unable to govern itself and treat itself well, get on that Trump train. But you got a place over here. Now, he also, I think, needs to make a stronger case for what he is going to do to keep the economy moving in a good direction for people who go into grocery stores and can't pay for their groceries. He says he's going to sick the DOJ and the FTC on these grocers, these corporate grocers that are ripping off Americans. He needs to lean into that for the voters. But for the people like us who care about a democracy around the world, they have a binary choice. We're out of NATO and Russia is running over Europe, or you stand with Joe Biden.
What I want you to explain is the logic behind what you're doing.
By the way, speaking of that, Cenk Uygur suspended his campaign as well. Bloody Tuesday. Trump and Biden just cleared the field. They mowed the lawn, shall we say, on Tuesday. Phillips out.
I mean that monologue definitely deserved it.
Fuck at the moon.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you just got to tell them if you want to see Russian tanks rolling through Europe, then maybe you should vote for Donald Trump. Like, that's your pitch. War.
Well, it's really amazing when you watch something like that. It is so far from cogent political analysis what these people are hired to do. It's so far from that. That is as far from actually being hired to give an intelligent, reasoned analysis as it can get. It's just sugar. It's just sugar posing as food. Right? It's just like the fact that you can just go on what's supposed to be a serious news show and make these kinds of hysterical pronouncements. Let's assume Putin wanted to do that. Let's concede that for a moment. How would he do it? He can't even get out of the eastern part of fucking Ukraine. Right. How is he going to be rolling up into Europe? Really?
I mean,
based on what?
Well, it's absurd. The other European countries that they're talking about are NATO countries. The reason there is a war in Ukraine is because Ukraine is not a NATO country, and Putin felt he needed to make sure that it did not and could not become one. Because once they become one, any conflict there has global implications.
You
right? So that's why you can't go through Europe. Like, it's such an unbelievably transparent lie that gets parroted over and over and over again. Marco Rubio did it last. We talked about that last time. Like, it gets talked about over and over again as if the main conflict of the war, the central conflict, was Ukraine either joining NATO or not. That's why the war is happening, because they're not yet a NATO country. Once they become a NATO country, then any armed conflict is automatically World War III. And Russia felt very threatened by that, understandably, right? And so that's why you have a war. So this idea of Russian tanks rolling through Europe is just absolute fantasy. And without NATO troops on the ground, to Russ's point, without NATO troops on the ground, they can't get through Ukraine. Right.
Why don't you lose your job when you say something like this? Because the purpose of these shows is not to inform. It is to take in the agenda of the State Department and communicate it in a way that scares the shit out of libs.
Yes, exactly. And Van Jones, you should be very, very proud of yourself, because like we talked about a couple days ago, the Ukraine war has kind of been sanitized by the media because a lot of the liberals are brainwashed into thinking Ukraine is actually winning. But there's actually 500,000 dead and injured. And you're only making life more hellish for a longer period of time by talking like this and by getting this money out the door like this. Like, it's really a disservice to humanity to talk like that. Not only is it perverse, like, political spin in a campaign, but like there are actually some pretty dire human consequences being wrought,
wiping out a generation,
like wiping out a generation of a people that's going to not be able to recover from this for a couple more generations. Yeah.
Yep. If ever.
Correct. Cool Blue. To borrow from writer Aaron Sorkin's The American President, no matter how much D's and media allies like Scarborough try, they can't sell it. They can't sell it. When I think of that, I think of the scene in The Sopranos where Richie is trying to get Junior to take his side and whack Tony. And then after he leaves, Junior turns to Bobby and says, he couldn't sell it. I'm better off with Tony. That's what I think of. But that's a good example, too. Derek, thanks for the $5. Biden is still a belligerent, dim bass. Bass or bass. I guess he could be a bass or a bass. Either a fish or a out-of-tune bass guitar. He just talks slower and more incoherently. Yes. The 55-year-old cashier at my local McDonald's is relieved that Biden is the best he's ever been. Yeah. Just amazing. He's the best he's ever been. A Kentucky woman won. Thank you for the $1.99. Appreciate that. Just in time. Thanks for the $5. Also, Tim Canova has shown that Debbie does rigging. Yeah. Look. The other part about that is too, like the Florida primary is late in the calendar, which is good in the sense that it gives you time, but it's also hurtful in the sense that like by the time you get to Florida, all the other races are over, which means if you get anywhere near Debbie Wasserman Schultz, which I don't think you will, AIPAC can just set its sights squarely on you because all the other races are out the window. That's what they did to Nina Turner.
Right.
Yeah. Excuse me. Let's see. It's sorry. I'm copying and pasting from Rumble. We just got another one. Oh, do we have more Rumble rants?
Fucking Jake needs to get on the ball, man.
Right, we got to give Jake a raise so that he can do the morning shows. Joe Scarborough's brain can be summed up with one word. I should put yeah, that's good. Thank you. It's a funny one. Post-duopoly and Big Poor coming together. Sweden just admitted to NATO. Oh, did that just happen? Did we miss that? Fuck. See? News moves so fast. Brock Sampson, California is controlled by the Democrat establishment down to the municipal level. Every Democrat in office there is selected and approved by the swamp. I mean, that seems to be the case just about everywhere, right?
I when you want to make the case for Democrats, can you please show me a state that's governed by Democrats that doesn't have grotesque wealth inequality?
Right.
Like, please show me one.
Right. We're not saying the Republican states don't have it too. They do. Like the South.
It's worse in Democrat-controlled states. We did a segment on that when we had Sabi on.
Well, yeah. I mean, to be fair,
no, Washington State.
Well, yeah. Well, there's, Seattle, Amazon, Starbucks, right?
Sure.
Like in the big blue states and cities, you have a lot more concentrated capital, so the gap is actually wider. In terms of like raw poverty numbers, the southern states still tend to be poor.
Didn't that segment that we did, that was the night I was having trouble. You had to take over that segment. But didn't it get into how actually the taxes are more regressive in those states?
Well, yeah, of course.
Than they are in like red states?
Yeah, no, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying. Like, yeah.
It's also really policy. It's not just the concentration of capital.
Right. Yeah, in terms of the gap, the rich-poor gap. Right. In terms of raw poverty numbers, like I said, like Louisiana is, I think, still the poorest, right? Or one of them. One of those states down there. One of those deplorable states.
I think it might be Mississippi.
One of those white rural rage states, as they call them.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is something, we might, spoiler alert, we're going to do the live show. And then I want to start trying to do like political cabarets once a month. And then maybe eventually we'll do Enemy of the People because it's just so perfect that it's a show about a poisoned water supply. Because if you really modernize that and break it down and deconstruct it, you could have segments about this whole fucking country, man. I'm afraid to drink the water here. They have boil water advisories all the time in New Orleans, man. I've been buying bottled water. What kind of a fucking supposed first world country in most of the country you can't drink the tap water?
You can't trust the water. Exactly. Facebook and Google are not banned in China. I didn't say they were banned in China. They left China voluntarily because they don't want to follow CN laws. CN laws didn't want to make a law to ban them. Google Uyghur terrorist attack they coordinated in Facebook group. No, I'm just saying the reason they have a censored internet is probably largely due to the fact that they don't want American companies, sniffing around like Google. I'm like, imagine the censor bots that sniff around YouTube. Yeah, you think China wants that? We already have them surrounded militarily. Wait, they think they want the internet opened up?
Right. Listen, man, you fucking China simps need to shut the fuck up and calm the fuck down. Okay. Every time we say the word China without it being followed by like filleting a fucking, Chinese official does not mean we're attacking China. Okay. Calm the fuck down.
Dan Richmond, Florida Dems are useless. Lost 3 times to uncharismatic supervillain corporate criminal Rick Scott. And Jen was all in on COVID regime passed. That's right. Dan, you are a Florida man yourself. Florida man, Dan Richmond. Test, see tweet for explanation. Henazo test. All right. So what? You want me to check? You want me to check your Twitter now? I'll check it once we're off. But I will hear it. You know what I'm going to do? Because you paid me to test, you're having trouble with your account. Look, I took a picture of it so I don't forget. I'm going to check your X profile. See if Henry DeShazo's having any problems as soon as we're done. Good luck getting that fixed. Cool Blue, thanks for the $4.99. Nikki Haley's 2 primary wins, District of Columbia and Vermont, were the 2020 Biden's best performed margins in the 2020 election. That's right. That's right. Good point, Cool Blue. It's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Yes, D.C. and Vermont are the 2 most Democratic. Well, one is a state, one is obviously not. But yes, those are the 2 most overwhelmingly Democrat areas. And those are where she did the best. The turnout in DC, like DC, there are basically no Republicans in DC. Like it is like statistically next to 0. Like I think she got like, I could be wrong about this. I don't want to. Here, let me Google this to make sure I'm right because I want to be accurate. DC,
are their primaries open? They're not open, right?
I don't think they're open, but there's so few Republicans. Yeah, so no, I'm not wrong about that. I just wanted to make sure like that wasn't an early count and I was getting that wrong. Yeah, look at the raw numbers. Nikki Haley, 1,274 votes. Like this is how few Republicans there are in DC. Like it's a ridiculous primary. Like there are more Republican votes cast in like a rural Ohio precinct than there are in Washington, D.C. Like there's almost no Republicans there. She won it with 1,274 votes. So there you go. Okay. Brenda Holiday. Hey, guys, please check out folk singer David Rovick's song about Gaza genocide. I have no connection with him, but the revolution needs dancing, right? Yeah, absolutely. I will check that out. David Rovick's.
Oh, hang on. Let me get a picture. Because, yes, I'm desperately looking for things in the arts that are going to be worth platforming.
Jesse Jett over from INN, he has a new album out. We should listen to that. Maybe I should play some of those tunes. If he'll let me play those tunes and some of the countdowns, that'd be fun.
Especially the INN guys. Are they? Well, they're all over, right? Everybody's all over. Aren't some of them in New York?
I think some of them are. Yeah, Crab is in Jersey City.
Crab, I know, is in the area. I met him.
Yeah,
a couple times now.
We've met the Crab man. Thanks for the $1.99 from Kristen. Appreciate that very much. Okay, let's move on here. Okay, speaking of New Jersey, we just mentioned New Jersey. Here's a guy named Rich Siegel who went viral posting a video in protest of an apparent West Bank settlement real estate sale going on in New Jersey that was hosted at a synagogue. Now, the synagogue and the organizers have disputed essentially 2 details. One, that the synagogue was hosting the event and that technically it wasn't a sale. It was an information session. You know how they have the timeshare. Hey, come and learn. We're not here to sell you anything, but this is just so you can find out about these existing opportunities, right? In the occupied West
We
Bank.
have got a lovely timeshare. It is 3 miles from the front lines. Completely safe.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go to Rich Siegel. This video went viral. You may have seen it already, but here it is in case you missed it.
My name is Rich Siegel. I'm a 25-year homeowner here in Teaneck. I'm Jewish. The reason that I'm telling you that I'm Jewish is because I have a concern about something that's going on in the Jewish community. On March 10th, there is scheduled to be an Israeli real estate sales event at the Keter Torah Synagogue. That event violates both domestic law and international law. Violates domestic law because we had a Civil Rights Act in 1965 and a Fair Housing Act in 1968. We don't allow real estate events to be for whites only, for Jews only, or anybody only. Now, as Jews, we don't get to fly under the radar and break the law and hide it in a synagogue. It violates international law because West Bank settlement homes are going to be available for sale at this real estate event. On the website, it lists 3 different West Bank settlements. Those settlements are in and of themselves illegal by international law. If we allow this sale to go through, we are enabling a local synagogue to violate both domestic anti-discrimination laws and international law. Now, there's other reasons we shouldn't allow it, okay?
All right, before, this is what they would describe as the new anti-Semitism here. This
Yes.
is what Time Magazine would call the new anti-Semitism, which is a Jewish man, a self-hating Jewish man, saying that a synagogue shouldn't be allowed to hawk real estate in illegally occupied territories. Somehow this is a bigoted statement. Not according to us, according to The Atlantic, according to Time, according to the Washington Post.
Yes. Yes. This is, he doesn't realize he's being anti-Semitic, according to The Atlantic, but he's reinforcing old tropes about Jews having, control and power. Even though this is actually a situation where Jews do have control and power. You're not allowed to say it because that's a trope.
What is it? This is irredentism? Is that what it's called?
This is irredentism, yes.
It's
yes.
classic irredentism.
We learned a new word reading The Atlantic.
This is textbook irredentism.
Well, I think, irredentism, I think he got that from a Chuck D track, right?
Yeah,
Didn't
right,
he
yeah,
drop
exactly.
that on one of his beats there?
There's a genocide going on right now. I don't care who that offends. More than 35,000 people have been killed. More than 13,000 children have been killed. People in this community are in deep mourning. People in this community are angry. I'm angry.
Because you're a rabid irredentite.
What this real estate event is going to do is it's going to fan the flames.
No. The Palestinians are the irredentite.
Oh,
if it goes forward,
sorry, I'm still
because
learning. It's a new word.
Demonstration.
They have the poor manners to believe that their land belongs to them.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Like that makes them irredentites. That's the word of the day, folks. We learned that on Rumble yesterday. If you didn't join us, see, you missed a real highbrow learning session.
There was that, and there was another word he used. It didn't come up in the clips. Melio something. There's a word for believing that the world can be improved by human effort. There's a word that encompasses that concept. He drops that word to explain that the fracturing between black activists and Jewish activists actually started after the 1967 war and the beginning of the occupation. That a lot, and the article has a critical point of view about the black activists breaking for Palestine at that moment. So I say, that this rift didn't just start. It really started with them turning to black power, with the strong implication that, that was crazy. They went in that crazy direction, the black power direction.
I believe the word for that is pinko. Pinko is
Pinko.
The pinko.
They became pinkos. Yes.
Pinkos, when they think the world could be improved through human effort. We call that's called a pinko.
No. They feel that the Jews believed that.
Yeah,
and then the black power movement became nihilistic.
Yeah.
There's going to be a demonstration because I'm going to organize it. It will be very well attended. What I'm saying needs to be done is, I don't know how much power this mayor and this council have to actually shut down the event, but I know you have the power to recommend that it be shut down. And I'm asking you to please do it. We don't need to have more divisiveness in this community, okay? We don't need to have Jewish privilege rule the day by saying we're entitled to break the law and have this real estate event and not care about how so many people in this community feel about it. Thank you for letting me.
Nicely done on the soon-to-be banned TikTok platform.
Yes.
That video is available for a limited time only, folks, so watch it and share it while you can. There was a protest at this event. A pitch for West Bank real estate is prompting protest and fear in Teaneck. Here's why. It's from NorthJersey.com. A for-profit company renting out a Teaneck synagogue on Sunday to pitch a real estate deals in Israel, including some in the occupied West Bank, has drawn calls for protests and investigations after one of the region's most outspoken Jewish critics of Israel cried foul. But synagogue members say characterizations of the event at a recent township council meeting by Rich Siegel, who condemns Israel for its treatment of Palestinians and has organized protests of other real estate events in the past, have been inaccurate. Siegel raised concerns that the settlements violate international law. I have heard from residents that they are afraid for Teaneck, said Councilwoman Hillary Goldberg. I think the overall temperature in town continues to be inflamed, and I personally feel that Jewish fear and pain is not being acknowledged. Were these protests violent? They came and went. March 6th. No violence.
It's the cult of safetyism. Yeah. Everyone's got to get in on that act.
Well, yeah.
Jewish fear and pain is not being acknowledged. Are you fucking kidding right now? Are you fucking kidding right now? This state that, as we demonstrated in our piece yesterday on Rumble, 8 in 10 Jews support the Zionist project. So you need to take your share of responsibility for the fear and pain that Palestinians are experiencing right now, which is nothing compared to your kind of abstract fear and pain. This is the real fear and pain. Should I go for the food delivery? Or am I going to get bombed?
Yeah, exactly. That's fear and pain. And by the way, there was a protest yesterday, nonviolent protests. These protests are all nonviolent. They're all. The event by My Home in Israel Real Estate will include financial experts and lawyers to explain the complexities of buying real estate in Israel and in 3 West Bank settlements, advertisements say. So it's not a sales event. Like I said, it's an informational meeting on how to buy real estate.
Well, like when you go to the timeshare thing.
Exactly, like the timeshare thing.
Right.
Okay, so this is the subheading here. So you know how they break certain articles down into headings. West Bank settlements at heart of debate. So we would expect, given the subheading there, we're going to hear both sides. We're going to hear a side supporting the West Bank settlements and a side critiquing them. Let's see what we get here. The property being marketed in West Bank settlements is the point of contention. Most international bodies and the United States consider such settlements illegal under international law. Israel recognizes 127 settlements in the West Bank, according to the Israeli Policy Forum, an advocacy and lobbying group that works towards a two-state solution in the Middle East. The Israel Policy Forum also says there are 200 illegal outposts that have been built in the West Bank without approval from the Israeli government. The Teaneck event is one of several planned Israeli real estate presentations in the U.S. and Canada that have triggered protests both online and in person outside synagogues where they are being held. Similar events have taken place in the past, but they are getting heightened scrutiny amid tensions over the Israel-Hamas war. In Teaneck, the planned event grabbed national attention after Siegel's comments at a Teaneck council meeting last month were captured on video and shared on social media. That's what we just watched. People in this community are in deep mourning, he said. People in this community are angry. What this real estate event is going to do is it's going to fan the flames. He asked the council to call for the event to be shut down. Please do it. We don't need to have more divisiveness in this community. So in that section, that was the entire section. Did you hear an argument for why this event should be happening? Like, there is no counter argument to the very basic and obvious claim that the settlements are illegal.
Right. Right.
So isn't that the beginning?
Why
and the
are
end of
you
it?
Selling other people's homes?
Right. From whatever, 6,000 miles away in fucking New Jersey. Like, why? Was there any? I didn't even hear an attempted intellectual rationale for this event in the so-called debate portion of the article.
I am going to say, you motherfuckers, stop hiding behind claims of anti-Semitism, because as a Jew, you are putting me in danger, because I cannot imagine a combination of facts more designed to spread anti-Semitism than a fucking synagogue hosting an event aimed at selling off the property of the Palestinian people and explaining to people how to get in on that.
Exactly.
That's not spreading anti-Semitism? You think that's helpful?
Yeah, I'll add to this. I've spoken about this on the show in the past. I sent my kids to a Jewish daycare center. There's a synagogue in the daycare center. Now, like I said, at the time I sent them there, we were conscious of safety because synagogues have tragically come under fire in the past several years. If I drop my kids off to this daycare center where the daycare is upstairs and the synagogue is downstairs, do I feel safer or less safe when I know that amidst a genocide being perpetrated by Israel, they're going to have a real estate show in the synagogue while my kids are upstairs? Am I going to feel safer that real estate event is there, or less safe that the real estate event is there? So you're the one endangering Jews, not the people who say we shouldn't have this. This is illegal at worst, at best in extraordinarily poor taste, since as the article itself doesn't even bother to try and counter-argue, the settlements are illegal. You're selling or whatever, showing, tutoring people on how to buy homes in illegally occupied lands.
And why is this in a synagogue? This is the core of the problem, and this is part of what we addressed yesterday. It is very difficult to argue that Judaism and Zionism are not the same thing when you host infomercials about the selling of Palestinian land to the highest bidder in a fucking synagogue. In a synagogue. This is the original sin of Western Jewry. They had no right to tie the state of Israel to the identity of all Jews in the public mind. And now that they have done that, people like myself and Keaton are put in the unfortunate position, or more visibly and importantly, people like Rabbi Weiss, of explaining to people that Judaism is a religion and a culture entirely apart from Zionism, which is a political project that started in Austria in the late 19th century. That is not synonymous with Judaism, but they have made it so. And with events like this, you make it very difficult to disentangle those things, which is really the only path forward for Jews who want to avoid an explosion of anti-Semitism, because you are getting an explosion in anti-Semitism. It's your own fucking fault, because you spent 75 years telling people Israel and Jews are inseparable. And now as they watch a genocide, when they are horrified by the genocide, they think they're horrified by Jews because that's what you told them to see.
Right, that's what you insisted. You insisted on making that link public, right? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Denton Fender, thanks for the $5. Is Israel digging another Suez Canal through Gaza called the Ben Gurion Project? Yeah,
while our Zog handlers have not told us anything about that.
We haven't gotten an email about that yet.
Yeah, no.
That's true. Ian Puttick, police corruption. Thank you, Ian. Shout out to
Thank
Ian,
you,
our friend
Ian.
Ian over there, catching an afternoon matinee over there. By the way, folks, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. 1,065 brave souls over on Rumble, 1870 here in the YouTube chat. Subscribe on YouTube, follow us over on Rumble, super important. Thank you all for being here. Keaton, after you check that guy's text, can you walk my dog and cook lunch, then do the dishes? Thanks in advance. Thank you. Will do. On it. Teaneck, New Jersey, there's a huge Jewish population. Yeah, a lot of the North Jersey towns.
I mean,
like
if I were
New York.
I'm coming back one day later. If I were in town, I would definitely go to that protest.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, as the article says, these protests have been ongoing and they've been peaceful. They've been peaceful. Has there been violence at the protests? You'd have heard about it if there was. I guarantee you that. It would have been in that write-up.
I have not heard an anti-Semitic word at any protest I have gone to cover, unless you very dishonestly, as they tend to, define anti-Zionism as anti-Semitism.
Exactly. All right, folks. So, we have been talking about the shift from primary season into general election campaign season. And we've talked about how obviously a vote for Genocide Joe is off the table. And it has, been on people's radar. Hey, Trump's been kind of oddly silent on Israel, Gaza. So these Fox News hosts asked him about it when he called in, what he has to say about this. And this should really put you folks in a bind who are thinking for voting for one of these two characters in November.
Policies for a second. As you know, this president of the United States, when it comes to Israel, is getting protested. Now he seems to be turning on Israel. But the non-committed vote that Biden's getting, they're not going to like you either, because you are firmly in Israel's camp, correct? Are you on board with the way the IDF is taking the fight in Gaza?
You've got to finish the problem. You had a horrible invasion. It took place. It would have never happened if I was president, by the way. As you know, Iran was broke, Brian. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas, for Hezbollah. They were broke. This would have never happened. And for another reason, they wouldn't have done it to me. I guarantee you that. They did this because they have no respect for Biden. And frankly, they got soft. And what happened here is incredible. That should never have happened. Likewise, Russia would never have attacked Ukraine. Never. You know it. Everybody knows it. And that wouldn't have happened. This is all on Biden.
Do you think the president's in the process of abandoning Israel?
I do believe that, but I don't think he knows where he is, frankly. I think you could ask him a question right now, ask him the same question. I don't think he knows what to say about many subjects, actually. It's really the people that surround him. It's the fascists and the communists that surround him. They're making the calls. They're calling the shots. He's not calling the shots.
Mr. President, how do you feel about Kamala Harris calling for a ceasefire in Gaza? Is that something that you support? Is that something that is totally off the table right now for you?
Look, I hate seeing what's happening. Again, it would have never happened. This attack on Israel and likewise Israel's counterattack, which is what it is, would never have happened if I was president. And you know that, Lawrence. This would have never happened. And it's so horrible to watch it.
All right. So the big money quote there is they've got to finish the job. And then, look, the thing they say about Trump is that the line about him was that he's a good businessman, but he's a bad politician. It's actually the complete opposite. He's a pretty terrible businessman and a pretty skilled politician. He pivots off of it. He doesn't dig in the way a Nikki Haley does, which is it finish them, baby, But he says we have to support Israel. We have to finish the job. And he says what Israel's done has been fantastic because he looks at it the way a developer looks at it. Well, it's great. They took this backwards Middle Eastern land.
Look at all this beachfront property.
They built all these great buildings. Like that's just the lens through which he views it. But
I could see a nice hotel right there, right where those dead people are in the mass grave. It'll be good for the plants.
Exactly. I mean, it's a morbid joke, but that is the way he sees it. That's the way he views these things, right? He sees Israel as a great triumph of commerce.
Well, that's why this whole Trump is a dove. It's fucking ludicrous. It's ludicrous. Yeah, I believe he had some resistance to some deep state agendas, and that's part of why they hated him so much. But the idea that Trump is really fighting their agenda. Okay, so if he was fighting their agenda, why didn't he go his own way with Russia? Because that he wanted to create détente. So why did he wind up having harsher policies than Obama? Because the press was calling him a Putin puppet, and he let that get in his head.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he ultimately, the irony, he is a pretty conflict-averse person at the end of the day. For all of his chest pounding, he, like a lot of schoolyard bullies, will usually back down when he feels like he has to. And I mean, finish the job. I mean, just what an abhorrent thing to say. He's not going to look. The idea that he would cut off funding to Israel, highly unlikely. Unless some personal thing came up between him and Netanyahu. That's the only, and like I said, that's more of a chance than Biden, right? Because with Trump, there's that randomness element to it. But this is his attitude, and this is so that's just obviously, I just thought it was important to show that because that was really the first time he's chimed in on this. He's kind of avoided it, and you saw he really wanted to avoid it there. Like this is where Trump's his anti-war sensibilities do come through even in these interviews. Now, of course, fuck your sensibilities when there's a genocide going on. That, and $5 will get you a bag of corn chips at the corner store under Bidenomics now. Ha ha, right? But so it doesn't matter. But you can see he wanted to pivot off of those questions. When they asked him, well, is Biden abandoning Israel? Well, yeah, I think he is, but I don't know where he's at. He didn't even, because I think he understands he can't really make a case that Biden's abandoning Israel because of course he's not. He's just so insane. This is the Murdoch style. This is the New York Post, Fox News, just hyper partisan Republican propaganda that because Biden exhales, in this exasperated fashion when he finds out about the flower massacre, that's abandoning Israel. He sighs in annoyance that Israel is so over the top, that constitutes abandonment to this media system. And you could see Trump wasn't really comfortable with that narrative. I mean, he placated them because, like I said, at the end of the day, in terms of like the trajectory of the war, it would be pretty much the same under Trump or Biden. I believe that very strongly.
Well, yeah, and he's making the case, oh, they never would have done it. Yeah, they would have done it. What the fuck are you come on, man.
Yeah.
Why would they not have done
like
it?
Like Russia, Ukraine, that's a much bigger thing. I agree that probably wouldn't have happened.
I agree.
That involves international politics and networks. That's a different animal.
Israel and Hamas, that's a completely different dynamic. It's a completely different geopolitical ecosystem. Netanyahu was literally driving suitcases full of cash into, I mean, not personally, but through him, to Hamas.
Yeah.
Using a Qatari agent. So they were getting funding. They didn't need you to fund it.
And as you know, we did a big piece on this a few months back. Israel helped Donald Trump get elected in 2016. A lot of the collusion that was supposedly going on between Trump and the Russians was actually going on between Trump and the Israelis.
There is some of the evidence. Yeah, we did a whole piece breaking that down. Who was that? Was that a Schellenberger
That was in
piece?
The Nation. No, that was actually in The Nation.
Oh, right. It was in The Nation. Yeah, a lot of that evidence, a lot of what looked fishy was for real. It really was fishy, but it was Israel.
Right.
It was not Russia, which this article completely broke down.
Yeah, and it's a great article because that does answer a lot of questions. Like all through Russiagate was transparently absurd. But at the same time, you couldn't really say that these like Roger Stone characters weren't acting shadily. Like there was something shady about what they were doing. It's just the accusations never added up because they had the wrong guy. They had, had the wrong co-conspirator. It wasn't Russia. It was Israel.
Right.
All right. Sparky, thanks for the $2. Denazify Israel. Derek P., thanks for the $5. The SS selling gold acquired during World War II, available in Hoboken. Stanislav M. just read that whistleblower Daniel Hale has been released from prison today. Has anyone else confirmed? Well, I saw an article about that earlier this week. We're probably going to cover that on Sunday, actually, now that he's out, if that's true. Excuse me, but thank you for that. We appreciate you. Let's take a few Rumble rants here. Yes, this is true. Jason Palmer, who is a Biden challenger, won the American Samoa Democratic Caucus. Who is Jason Palmer? Good question. Yeah, I don't know who that guy is, but he apparently won the American Samoa caucuses. Mississippi has the lowest rate of homelessness in the U.S. It's because housing is so cheap. The city just houses people. Milwaukee, NOLA, and 30-plus cities have lead in their water. Yeah, I know that about Mississippi. When I used to do tours in New York City, we would get guests from Mississippi every once in a while, and they would start asking about real estate prices here, and it's just like the housing in Mississippi is just like cheap at a level that like we don't even understand. Like I think this guy said his property taxes were like $200 a year.
Oh yeah.
Whereas in New York State, my parents' property taxes, and they don't even live in like a wealthy area, but it's like $900 a month in New York State.
Yeah, the property taxes in New Orleans too. Like you buy a house here, the property taxes on houses I was looking at was like, I don't know, like $1,200 a year, something like that.
Yeah, super low. This is Roy the Goy saying this in jest. Last evening, Russell called me a little bastard. In response to his cruel broadside, I trembled through the night in pain and despair before drifting off to sleep on a tear-stained pillow. Russell has crushed my self-esteem. I'm gorging myself on processed snack foods to mask my pain. Like Hitler, Stalin, and Rachel Maddow, Russell will face the karma of his misdeeds. Roy. Thank you, Roy the Goy. You know, you're funny for a Goy. You know,
you're pretty. Are you sure you're not a little?
You sure you don't have a little Jew in you? Because you do have a good sense of humor for a Goy, for sure. All right, let's go to Sparky. Trump's only as good as the Pompeos who surround him in the legacy TV news he watches. Hopefully, he'll hire better and watch Due Dissidents instead of traditional TV if elected. He should tune in.
I am a dissident.
Exactly. See, he would fit right in here.
Yep,
imagine Donald Trump in the chat, mixing it up with the most depraved audience on YouTube. That'd be fun, would it not? All right, folks, this concludes our first half of today's coverage. We will be back tonight at 8:45. That's when we're going to start the stream. The Ice Cream Man is on at 9. We're going to start the stream at 8:45 to give you guys a chance to file in.
It's like the lost 70s splatter film.
We need like a Mr. Softy sound drop for tonight that we can play under his entrance. That's our homework for this evening, right?
The Ice Cream Man. He's got more than soft serve for you.
Cut that. Because you clipped that for Rumble. That's like a 30-second drop.
No, I know.
Okay, good. All right, good.
No, I wasn't going to play it through. No,
because you use that for the Rumble streams, but this ain't Rumble. We can't play more than 5 seconds.
I know.
Stop it. Turn it off. Sam, thanks for the $4.99. I think
I
Trump's
had my finger on the button.
All right, no, I just wanted to make sure you reminded because it's an easy mistake to make. I think Trump is ADD and doesn't have interest in a lot of these international conflict schemes by the U.S., and I think that frustrates MIC people. It does because he doesn't. He has to be dragged along. They have to explain to him as they go. I think that's insane. Good. Correction, due dissidence. Well, you made another typo because you left the second D out of dissidence there. So it's going to cost you another $2.
Yeah, you're going to have to give us more money.
Yeah. Trump defended UNRWA during his term and has illegal settlement named after him. Defunded UNRWA.
Does he really?
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
P.W. Walker says due dissidents should adopt useful idiots drinking game for the State of the Union. Yeah, it's a good idea. Like I said, I'm just not up to drinking these last few weeks. I feel fucking weird.
I'm really not a big drinker.
Yeah. Maybe I'll have, you know what I bought the other day? Hey, have any of you guys, they're starting to pass this out, not pass it out, they're selling it. You have to buy it. I'm passing it out for free. There's this soda, it's called Long Drop. It's like a Finnish cocktail. So it's like carbonated gin with I think probably a little added sugar. It's actually really good because it's got the alcohol content of a beer, but it's not bready like a beer. You know, it doesn't fill you up like a beer. It's light. It's a carbonated gin soda that's in a can. It's called the Long Drop. Maybe I'll have one of those tonight. I'll model it for you guys because that's actually pretty good. It's pretty good. You know, and you know, if you don't want the graininess of like, you know, the beer or a whiskey or something, it's nice. It's called the Long Drop, and it's from Finland, which is a NATO ally. So we should all support our allies. So maybe we'll have one of those tonight in honor of Finland's entrance into NATO. All right, folks, we will see you tonight, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, here on YouTube and over on Rumble. Thank you all very much for being here. We will see you guys this evening. You're not going to watch the State of the Union with someone besides us, are you? No, you're not. No, you're not. You're all going to be back here. We're going to do our due diligence as citizens.
Fuck that Swanson frozen dinner, motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck him. Fuck him. This is the place to be. We're going to be good Americans and watch the State of the Union. I got you, Sparky.
This ain't no Salisbury steak, mofos.
I got you. Exactly. Thanks, Sparky. Look up Trump milkshake story with frustrated MIC people. Will do. All righty. Guys, thank you very much for being here. We will see you tonight. Party starts early. Doors at 8:45. Show at 9. That's how we're doing this later this evening. Until we see you again tonight, thank you very much. Be safe and be well.
Courage.
Please clap.